Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that puts stupidity in barrels of hydrofluoric acid. Flat earthers come and go. Some fade into obscurity, some see sense and realise the earth isn't flat. Please go and subscribe to Seek Truth, Speak Truth. But some never cease to pump out the stupid. And no flat earther pumps out more constant stupid than Sleeping Warrior. He is so stupid that he once said the earth would have a solar eclipse every month.
A solar eclipse will happen every single month. And why? Because it takes 27 days, 27 point something days for the moon to orbit the earth. So at some point it's going to cross the sun. And it does it every single month. Now, I have no explanation for why it takes every 100 years for America to get one, because the law of probability dictates that it should be every few years, but we're being told it's once every 100 years. So there is a solar eclipse every month. The only problem is we don't see it because it's usually over the water. So you can bet me £1,000 because you're gonna have to come up with the reason for why it's not when the moon orbits the Earth once every month, you Burke. I bet you £1,000 solar eclipses happen every single month. The issue is we never see them because they're normally over the Earth, normally over the water.
After failing to pay up for that bet, he promptly deleted his channel and started a new one. He is so stupid he was officially voted the dumbest fuck of 2019, beating out even JM Truth. So let's take a look at the stupid person as he tries to debunk a physics teacher. Sleeping Warrior is back for Flerfs Are Idiots, episode 45.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thank you for joining me once again to look at the people whose breakfast of choice is the purple crayons. Sleeping Warrior is, how do I put this delicately, not one of the brightest people around. He clearly has issues with the most basic of things, like basic maths.
5 divided by 0 is 5. In the real world.
Basic physics.
This is an egg.
And basic toilet habits after becoming the first man to ever stream twice at the same time.
They started to get irritated. So that.
The thing is, the thing is though, the cop doesn't have to show you the code. He just brings you before the judge, and the judge has to show you the code.
So it blows my mind when someone of Sleeping Warrior's limited mental capacity thinks he knows more than the people that have actually studied physics. Like Conspiracy Cats, an actual physics teacher who did a video explaining gravity and the nuances of Newtonian gravity versus Einsteinian gravity. Along comes Leaky Warrior to correct him.
Newton's equation tried to describe to us what we see, whereas Einstein's work was more about why we see it.
It isn't.
They're not mutually exclusive, as many flat earthers would have you believe. Anyway, next topic.
No. Conspiracy Cats is both wrong on both points.
Conspiracy Cats is both wrong on both points. Just saying that if I'd fluffed my first line in a video, I'd have probably restarted the recording. But more importantly, what gives you the authority to say he is wrong? You don't understand physics, you haven't ever studied physics, and try to use dictionary definition of words to argue scientific points. To put it nicely, Sleeping Warrior, you're a fucking idiot.
Newtonian gravitation, as we all know if you've been in this topic for more than 2 minutes, you know that Newtonian gravitation was a force. Einsteinian gravity is an effect. They are not the same thing.
They are the same thing. They describe the same thing and mathematically break down to the exact same equation. And by that I mean you can literally derive Newton's law of gravitational attraction from Einstein's field equations. And maths is how you describe things in science. It's the language of science and how we prove our ideas. Newton's law was a mathematical description of what Newton observed. Einstein's general relativity was a description of why that attraction is there. It's also a lot more accurate than Newton's work. Newton's law is great for a local scale, but Einstein's field equations are much better for larger scale calculations. But that doesn't mean Newton was wrong. It's like saying pi isn't 3.1416 because pi is 3.1415965. It's more accurate, but they are both still the ratio of a circumference to a diameter of a circle.
Newton was not describing what we see. Newton was describing a physicality.
Come on now, Leaky. What does that even mean? Newton did describe what he saw. He realised that there must be some kind of force acting on an object falling. Otherwise, they would not start moving from rest. He called this apparent force gravity. He also realised the moon would fly off in a straight line tangent to its orbit if there wasn't some kind of force making it fall towards Earth, and that the observation of Kepler could be explained by this apparent force. And that's what Newton's law of gravitational attraction is, a mathematical description of observations that was able to make predictions and explain many natural phenomena.
Something that was pushing or pulling. Even though Newton said, "Do not ascribe gravitation to me" in his letters to Bentley, it is clear that Newtonian gravitation is a force misrepresented by ballers to believe the fiction that is known as gravity.
How can we misrepresent an observable physical phenomena? For all we need to know, there is a force. Things have mass. They accelerate towards other masses. Therefore, they have a force. F equals ma. Newton's second law of motion. You are right that Newton said not to attribute any kind of theory about gravity to him, because even he realised that his maths presented some problems and seemed to suggest that gravity reached out as if by magic instantaneously across vast distances. That's why he never suggested a mechanism for what he observed. He just described it mathematically.
Einsteinian gravity is an observed phenomenon. I did a test recently where I made an egg move. When the egg moved, it's the movement of the egg, as per Einstein's gravitation, that is gravity.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Einstein would not say any such thing. Einstein said that gravity was the curvature of space-time due to the uneven distribution of masses that causes an apparent attractive force between masses. In your egg-speriment...
This is an egg.
Yeah, we know, Riley, that's an egg. Just calm down. What you did was add some salt to the water. This changed one of the variables in the buoyancy force equation, rho vg, and tried to claim that a parts per million metre measured density.
Okay, that's coming in at 212 parts per million tap water. Don't know what that means. It's just a number. It could be unicorn farts. It's just a number.
Because you, Riley, are a fucking idiot. You're on the wrong channel, mate. Off you go. Subscribe to Team Skeptic.
It's the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. It isn't the why, it's a visualization, a phenomena, an observed phenomena, step one of the scientific method.
General relativity isn't an observation, you muppet. It's an explanation of the observation, an experimentally demonstrated and verified explanation.
This teacher is lying to people, his subs, his children that he teaches in school, about gravity. Newton was not about what we see, Einstein is about what we see. Einstein is an effect. Newton was a force.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
It's clear to anyone with half a brain that you haven't a fucking clue what you're talking about. That is literally the opposite of how it is. And as for Conspiracy Cat's lying, no. He's teaching kids what they need to know for high school physics. To have a basic understanding of the world around them, help them pass their GCSEs and prepare them for A-level and possibly further if they want to continue their study in physics. Now, Riley is demanding that I show him my physics degree certificate, which I'm not going to do because I don't have it to hand, I don't have anything to prove to a mentally deficient wannabe lawyer, and I don't have a habit of posting my personal information online to people. He says he doesn't think that I have a degree because I explain gravity as an emergent force, so I'm lying to people. I asked Riley what he thinks happens that after high school, where you're taught Newtonian physics, that you get to college or uni and they tell you that actually that was all just a lie, it's not a force, it's the curvature of space-time. His response was this: you are told it's an effect, not a force. Whether the penny drops or not is another matter, and I don't think they tell you it's a lie. I think they expect you to join the dots. So you think they expect you to just figure out that you were lied to at high school? Why doesn't every person with a degree in physics say something? because you don't know what you're talking about, and anyone with a degree in physics knows Newton and Einstein described the same thing, and that it's perfectly acceptable to talk about gravity as a force. And my challenge to you, Sleepy Dum Dum, is to find one single person with a degree in physics to publicly disagree with me, and I will admit that I'm wrong and delete this video.
He's wrong. Einstein superseded Newton. Einstein made it about an effect. The egg moving was movement. That's what Einstein calls gravity. He ascribes it to the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. Again, this teacher is lying to you, and his subs, and his pupils in school.
But he isn't lying. He is doing his job and preparing his students to advance in physics should they wish to. And knowing him, as I do, I expect he is an extremely good teacher. And what we've tried to tell you all the time is that science doesn't supersede. It builds on what's become before. Newton wasn't wrong about what he observed and described, and this is evidenced by the fact that every time a satellite is put into orbit, it's Newton's law that is used to calculate its orbital mechanics. It's Newton's laws that are applied when building load-bearing structures like bridges and skyscrapers. Ask an engineer, they will agree. At the moment, general relativity is the best understanding we have, and Einstein's predictions keep getting proven right, like the discovery of gravitational waves. That doesn't mean in the future we won't have a better understanding that explains things better. And that wouldn't mean that Einstein was wrong.
He knows that gravity is an effect, but he still tells you that Newtonian is acceptable. In 1915, Einstein surpassed, replaced, superseded, debunked, replaced, whatever a word you want.
Well, none of those words are right, so...
It became mutually exclusive in 1915, when he submitted his paper on the theory of general relativity. You don't have to like that, but you will accept it.
No, we won't accept it. And by we, I mean anyone who wasn't a victim of the great brain robbery of '09.
And every time this drongo teacher calls out gravity as a force in any way, I'm going to be there to correct people that this guy's lying.
Why you no speak good, Riley? Make a basic structure of sentence you cannot.
We don't see gravity. We see things move. Helium balloons must be attracted by a force to the sky, according to this mumbo idiot fool.
You've had this explained to you at least 666 times, Riley. I know it won't help, but I think you need to go to the remedial classroom. Again. Right, you bunch of morons, sit down and shut up. What is it, Mr. Riley? You need the toilet? Go on then, quickly, we'll wait till you get back. Mr. Riley, what are you in a bottle? What do you mean that's how you do it at home? I just threw up in my mouth a little. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Wait, are you passing that bottle to Mr. Murphy? No, please don't, Mr. Murphy. No, it's still warm. Why, Mr. Murphy? Why?
Well, I've been drinking urine now for 6 years.
I hate my job. Just take notes, or don't. I really don't care at this point. Helium balloons are attracted to the sky, according to flat earthers. But what they ignore is the buoyancy equation has G in it. This G stands for the acceleration due to gravity. The denser air with more mass gets pulled down with more force than the lighter helium in the balloon. This creates an upward force directly opposite to the local gravitational vector. Buoyancy requires gravity. It's the same with a car with a helium balloon in it. Normally, when a car accelerates forward, you get pushed back into your seat. But a helium balloon would move forward as you accelerate forward, the heavier air is pushed to the back of the car. I really don't care if any of you paid attention or took notes. I think I'm being punished for being a horrible person in a past life. Class dismissed. Yes, I know we only just started, but I hate all of you and need my breakfast. Where did I put the whiskey?
We know there's no force of attraction in clouds. We know there's no force of attraction in stars. But helium balloons do go up. Relative density explains that.
Buoyancy explains clouds. That's why when they get too heavy it rains, but to say there is no attraction in stars is just willful ignorance. It's what causes our orbit. Earth is in constant freefall towards our star, but we have a fast enough tangential velocity that we miss it and keep going around. And relative density? No, Riley. Density isn't a force. It cannot cause an acceleration.
We can calculate it. We can predict it. It has both a vector, it has a direction and a magnitude. It's a vector.
Bollocks, you can calculate it. That's an outright lie. For there to be a vector, there has to be a reason for something to go in a particular direction. And the biggest problem for your claim of density being a force is that density gives no reason to go in a particular way. Yes, a lead ball is more dense than water, but how does the lead ball know which way is down? It doesn't. No matter how much you bleat like the sheep that you are, following around Nathan Oakley and Quantum Eraser, you cannot escape the need for a downward acceleration for things to, actually accelerate towards the ground. Relative density is a bunch of crap.
But they ignore this because it doesn't go with their narrative, their religion, their belief. This guy's lying to people about gravity.
No, Katz isn't lying. Calling people a liar because you don't understand is about as arrogant as you can get. And we don't have beliefs. We have evidence, and actual science. Not your batshit crazy version of science.
We know what gravity is because current physics defines it. Einstein defines it. It is defined. We also know what causes it. Einstein defined it with its cause. It all goes back to your definition of current physics. Gravity is the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass.
And you haven't the first clue what that means, do you? The curvature is what causes the apparent attractive force between masses. You are under the idiotic assumption that it stops at warping space-time. Current physics says that warping space-time leads to the Newtonian side that engineers use every day.
I missed off the first two words of the definition, and I'm going to emphasize them now. It's the effect of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. So we do know what gravity is, and we do know what causes it. Einstein described it as a visualization, an effect, a perceived phenomena. Yeah.
You can shout the effect as loud as you like. It still doesn't change the fact that you are comically ignorant to any of the physics that you talk about. Your knowledge of physics comes from skimming quotes from articles and textbooks without ever understanding any of the context. Your brain, Riley, is simply too dull to visualize any of the complex concepts required to understand what you quote. I tell you to read a fucking book, but you wouldn't understand, so there's no point.
Neil deGrasse Tyson dropped his microphone. The movement of the microphone in the direction that we attribute known as down is what Einstein says gravity is. It's the movement.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Riley, you're dumb as fuck.
It's not any force that's pulling it towards the ground or a force pushing it towards the ground as per Newton. Einstein's gravity is mutually exclusive. This guy's lying. However, you try getting any baller to explain how the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass is what caused Neil deGrasse Tyson's microphone to drop.
Again, just for you, Riley, in general relativity, the apparent attractive force between masses is an emergent property of the warping of space-time due to the uneven distribution of mass. This is the current understanding we have of gravity. Well, some people understand. Obviously not you.
It just becomes comical. They know it becomes comical and they have to swerve it at all costs. Conspiracy Cats is lying to people on the internet, but he's lying to your children in school too. He did a degree. He knows Einstein is an effect, but he still teaches Newton. He lets all the children come out of school believing gravity was a force because it's in the curriculum.
And like I said, it's in the curriculum because they need to have that understanding if they want to progress in physics.
Yeah, he knows that it's an effect. You've got to ask yourself, why would a teacher lie to children and justify it on the basis that it's in the curriculum? But deep down inside, he knows that gravity's not a force. The guy's lying. There's no two ways about it. And he's teaching it to your kids. If you think that's acceptable, you're a fucking spastic. It isn't okay to lie to children. I was lied to when I was in school. If somebody told me in school that, well, it's in the curriculum and that's why we teach it to you, but it's not actually a force, it's an effect, everything would have been different in my life.
Lovely language there, Riley, but things would have been different, really. I can see it now. Nah, this is more Riley's level.
Anthony, if a triangle has the sides 1, 1, and 1, do you know what the angles of the triangle are?
Which kind of triangle are you on about? Are you on about like a right angle triangle?
The triangle has sides 1, 1, and 1. Do you know what the angles are?
The angles would be... Well, it would be an equilateral triangle, wouldn't it?
Right, so what are the angles? I'm going to ask this again. If you have a triangle with sides of 1, 1, and 1, what are the angles?
I'm gonna pull up a triangle calculator.
Let's do this again. Anthony, a triangle has sides 1, 1, and 1. What are the angles? Is somebody recording this? Because this is just priceless.
Well, the one I'm using isn't. It's not giving me any when I do it. So either this calculator is wrong or you're wrong.
We have a triangle with sides of 1, 1, and what are the angles?
Yeah, so that's an equilateral triangle, right?
Right, so what are the angles?
Does that work on a right angle triangle?
The sides are 1, 1, and 1. What are the angles?
When is that ever used in astronomical calculations for measuring trig? Paul-Michel Foucault, the guy we all know for the pendulum effect. Apparently it shows the rotation of the Earth. What do we know about Foucault? Not that much, really. French, pendulums, that's about it. That's all we know about him. This is the guy. He died in 1988, 1984, aged 57. Does anybody know what he died of? I didn't know what he died of. Presumably old age. There's not that much in it, but for the fact that he was gay, openly gay, he died of HIV, and that's about as much as you can tell. Everything else in here is generally not that, not that interesting. There's not that much in it. One thing I want to show you is that if you do a Control and F in here and type in pendulum, no mention of the pendulum. Foucault's pendulum is supposed to show the rotation of the Earth. Wouldn't you think that if that was true, it would at least get a mention in his...
You've got no answer for it, that's the problem.
No, I do. The answer's the same on both models, but I'm not getting into it. We're trying to satisfy the definition of atmospheric pressure by satisfying the mass part for weight. If you can't satisfy mass for weight, then you don't satisfy the definition for atmospheric pressure, and your model does not do what your model claims it does. So where do we...
mass is in... Okay, Newton's first law. All mass is inertial mass. And inside the gravitational field, all mass is gravitational mass.
That's
all mass is accelerating downwards at 9.81 metres per second.
No, that's not Newton's first law.
Certainly is Newton's first law.
No, it isn't. Newton's first law of motion is an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by a force, or an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by a force.
Which is quite literally the law of inertia.
That's not the way you worded it. That is not his law. You need to use the words.
The law of... No. That is the law of inertia.
Right. My friend here that's not you talking, and you were asked not to talk because it was supposed to be gently and I, has incorrectly cited Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion is an object at rest... Can you stop interrupting, please? You were asked to go on mute. An object at rest remains at rest unless acted upon by a force. An object in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by a force. You did not read that, or you did not cite that when you said Newton's law, first law. What did you say about Newton's first law?
Newton's first law is the law of inertia. Now, if you would like to Google what is the law of inertia, I think you'll find it is Newton's first law.
Newton's first law is not Newton's first law of inertia. It's called Newton's first law of motion, and as I've correctly cited on demand, it is an object in motion will remain in motion, and the same way an object at rest will remain in rest unless acted upon by a force. You have not got your laws of motion correct. Sorry.
And that's all the stupid that I can take for today. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that force feeds stupidity peanuts and hides its EpiPen. Flat earthers are not only stupid but blissfully unaware of how stupid they are. This gives them a false sense of confidence in what they talk about and makes them think they know more than, you know, every expert in the world. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, or the Riley-Nadell effect. And flat earthers live here, at the peak of Mount Stupid. With zero knowledge but mountains of confidence, Eric Dubay, the prince of flat earth, has a permanent throne at Mount Stupid as he thinks he knows more than every actual smart person on the planet. He tried to debunk one of the smartest people that I've ever met, Professor Dave, who did a video called 10 Things All Flat Earthers Say. Eric's response was predictably idiotic, and that means there's quite a lot of stupid to cover, so I'm going to split this video into two parts and have part 1 on this channel and part 2 on Planarwalk's channel. Eric Dubay, the Crown Prince of Dumb, makes a return for episode 46 of Flerfs Are Idiots.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thank you for joining me once again to point and laugh at a stupid person. And boy, Eric Dubay is stupid. A yoga teacher with delusions of grandeur and delusions of having a brain. Another moron who has never studied any aspect of science in his life, but thinks he can debunk all of science's greatest minds because he is woke. This time he has attempted to debunk professional internet smart guy Professor Dave.
He knows a lot about the science stuff, Professor Dave explains.
You can probably guess how it went. Before we start, make sure you are subscribed to Planarwalk to see part 2 of this video. Right, here we go. Everyone got some facepalm protection?
The 10 things that all flat earthers say. Number 1, one extremely problematic side effect of taking the globe and flattening it out into a plane is that gravity makes no sense, and there is no reason for things to fall to the ground.
Quite simply, objects fall or rise based on their relative density to the medium surrounding them. Apples fall because they are denser than the air, while helium balloons rise because they are lighter. No gravity necessary.
So straight in with the failing to address Dave's point. I've explained this till I'm blue in the face so many times. Density doesn't give anything a vector. If it's all due to relative density, then everything would go up, as that's where the less dense medium is. And buoyancy requires gravity to be a thing. The buoyancy equation rho vg has a g in it, and that g stands for the acceleration due to gravity. It's the gravity pulling down the more dense air with more force than the helium balloon, causing an upward force in the opposite direction of the local gravitational vector. But Dave's point was that we know there is a downward acceleration, and it's caused by the large mass of Earth. We can measure the vectors, and they all point to the centre of Earth. That's because gravity pulls towards the centre of mass. So if you lived in the middle of a disk, it would be relatively normal at the centre, but the further you go towards the outside, the more it would feel like you were going uphill, because more mass would be underneath and behind you instead of in front of you. We know gravity is a thing, and we know that it causes an acceleration between masses, and that kills the flat Earth.
This is why raindrops fall down through the air, and air bubbles rise up through water. Everything seeks its relative density and rises or falls until settling accordingly. This is why a tiny pebble sinks to the bottom of the ocean, but gigantic cruise ships and aircraft carriers stay afloat on the surface, because even though a pebble is so small, its mass relative to its volume, its density, is more than water, so it sinks. And even though a cruise ship is so large, its mass, relative to its volume, is less than water, so it floats.
But density, you dipshit, isn't a force. For things to move, to go from at rest to being not at rest, otherwise known as acceleration, requires a force. And where does that emergent force come from? Desert file?
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
If Newton's apple had landed in a puddle instead of on his head, he would have seen the apple only fell through the air because it was denser than the air.
Well, no, because Newton never had an apple land on his head. That's just a story. When Newton moved back to his childhood home, Woolsthorpe Manor, he was in the orchard there and witnessed an apple drop from a tree. There's absolutely no evidence to suggest the fruit actually landed on his head. However, Newton's observations caused him to ponder why apples always fall straight to the ground rather than sideways or upward, and helped inspire him to eventually develop his law of universal gravitational attraction. Typical Eric and all flat earthers only ever know half the story.
Have you ever noticed how it's easier to stay afloat with your lungs full of air than it is when they're empty? Submarines float on the surface when their ballast tanks are filled with air, but when the vents are opened and seawater floods in, they begin to sink as the submarine's density becomes greater than water. Depending what depth they wish to dive, sailors simply adjust the ratio of air and water in their tanks, and when ready to resurface, they blow compressed air into the tanks, forcing the seawater out, lowering the density, and thus causing them to rise back to the surface.
Because of buoyancy. And trust me when I say those sailors know the calculations for buoyancy. I was one of those submariners in the Royal Navy. Nothing you say about relative density makes any sense. How do those objects know how to arrange themselves in a particular density gradient? Take this video from fellow debunker of Flat Earth Idiocy Miles Davis. Using Eric's logic of things will always fall towards the more dense medium, this little block of wood, which has pretty much equal air density all around it, will fall through the air that is less dense than the wood towards that solid concrete behind it to its place of rest. But when he lets go, it actually falls diagonally away. That's because it isn't density that causes the desire to go in a particular direction. That's gravity. Inescapable, undeniable, ever-present no matter how many times Flerfs stamp their feet and spit out their dummy, gravity.
We can also prove this fact of relative density by filling a balloon with approximately half helium and half air. Since helium is lighter than the oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases that compose the air around us, filling a balloon with just the right amount of helium to compensate for and balance out the density of the plastic results in a gravity-defying, levitating balloon at equilibrium that neither rises nor falls.
So basically your entire shtick is, I don't understand how this thing is happening, but I know it's not gravity. That, Eric, is called an argument from ignorance and just makes you sound dumb, which is appropriate because you're a flat earther and really, really dumb.
All objects accelerate towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's an indisputable fact.
Oh, really? Is it an indisputable fact that feathers fall to the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared? Is it indisputable that dandelion seeds fall to the ground at that rate?
In a vacuum or on the moon, they absolutely would.
I have a feather. In my right hand, a hammer. And I guess one of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo a long time ago who made a rather significant discovery about falling objects in gravity fields. And we thought that where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon. And so we thought we'd try it here for you. The feather happens to be appropriately a falcon feather for our falcon. And I'll drop the two of them here and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that? It proves that Mr. Galileo was correct in his findings.
What you're missing, Eric, is the very basic understanding that there are other forces to take into account. a dandelion seed has so little mass that the gravitational force acting on it is very small. This means that a small force like a gentle breeze is able to overcome the small force due to gravity. But that acceleration acting downward never goes away. And if you did the maths, you would see that... Oh wait, you're a thick as fuck flat earther. Maths probably isn't your thing, is it?
What about skydivers with an open parachute? What if we are falling through water? The rate at which things fall has everything to do with the relative densities between the object and medium, and has nothing to do with the fictional pulling force of gravity.
Nope, because without gravity, there is no up and down. Gravity defines the vector for things to accelerate. A parachute opening, air resistance over a large surface area creates a force. Falling through water, buoyancy happens because of gravity. Nothing fictional about gravity in the slightest. It's an observable fact.
Nor does the rate or manner in which objects fall have any bearing whatsoever on the shape of the Earth. But this type of sophistry is the kind of tacky glue that holds the whole heliocentric model together.
Surprise! Eric is wrong again. Our observations of gravity show that it pulls equally from all sides towards a centre of mass. This will make any object massive enough form into a sphere, because only in a sphere will the net sum of pulling forces equal to 0.
It is also an indisputable fact that any acceleration requires a force to produce it. This is how cars drive, planes fly, people walk, cats jump. It's how literally all motion works. Most of you address this problem by simply listing two words, density and buoyancy. Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but these are not forces. Forces are vectors. They have a magnitude, which means a numerical amount, and a direction, which means they have to point somewhere. Density is simply mass per unit volume, or how much matter sits in a particular space. It doesn't point anywhere. And buoyancy is simply a measurement of an object's tendency to float. You say that objects fall down because they are more dense than the air below them. Why down? Why not up? Or sideways? When you let go of a ball, there is air all around it. How does it know to fall down? Also, objects fall down when they're in a vacuum, which means there is no air below them. What's happening there?
I could similarly ask you, if gravity is real and responsible for keeping all the world's buildings, oceans, and people stuck to the ground, then why does it have no effect on pulling down a simple children's balloon? Are helium balloons magical anti-gravity devices?
I mean, he just told you it's because of buoyancy. How does the balloon know which way to float? How does the balloon know there is a more dense medium around it to go up? It's because of gravity. Gravity is what gives things direction. You're just going to ignore everything he says and keep spouting flerf crap like it means anything, aren't you, Eric? Eric Dubay, you're dumb as fuck.
No. We live in a density gradient, and since the combination of plastic and helium present in the balloon is less dense than the nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and other elements in the air around it, it rises. Likewise, if I release the helium and then blow up the balloon again, the magical anti-gravity properties disappear because now it is denser than the air around it. But wait, I thought Professor Dave, he's not really a professor.
Well, actually, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a professor is someone who is a teacher at a university, college, or sometimes secondary school. And in Professor Dave's video, Am I Really a Professor?, he goes through his teaching experience. He is a professor, and you're wrong again.
I thought Not a Professor Dave said that it's an indisputable fact that all objects fall to the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. Why doesn't a balloon filled with carbon dioxide fall at this indisputable rate? Gravity is clearly racist against balloons, feathers, and other objects with relative densities near that of the medium surrounding them.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Did you just say that gravity is racist? What the actual fuck? I mean, they're stupid. There's really fucking dumb. And then there's you, Eric.
So again, to answer your question, objects are not tending towards the Earth. They are tending towards their density equilibrium. The least dense gases rise highest, while the most dense solids fall lowest.
Why, Eric? Why? What tells the object it needs to rise or fall? What about an object in the middle of a vacuum chamber? How does it know which way is more or less dense? According to your own logic, Eric, with how dense you are, you should sink to the bottom of the disk. Look out for elephants.
Here on Earth, so much solid matter has piled up in the dense direction that we actually have a platform to walk upon. But we are not yet at our density equilibrium, so we are constantly pushing downwards. Just as a helium balloon that rises and hits a ceiling has not yet reached its density equilibrium, and so it constantly pushes upwards on the ceiling.
And as density isn't a force, you have no explanation for either of them. And has anyone ever told you, Eric? Your voice is boring as fuck.
Number 2, flat earthers all say, I shouldn't see this thing, but I do, so the earth is flat. Then to justify this claim, you all say the same thing, typically with no context whatsoever. 8 inches per mile squared. None of you have any idea what this means. You can't derive it. You can't calculate anything with it. You can't make a prediction with it. You can't tell me anything about this value at all. When I point this out to you, you get very angry, and instead of answering simple questions, you just link me to a bunch of videos made by con men. 8 inches per mile squared is not a valid way to measure Earth's curvature. If you understood math, you would immediately see that this squared on miles is totally out of place. That's because this is a parabolic approximation. This is for doing calculations with a parabola. It's possible that you remember this shape from middle school algebra, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't. As you can see, the Earth is not shaped like this. So where does it come from, and why do people use it?
To begin with, the curvature formulas and curvature calculators that exist for the globe model were created by you globe Earth proponents, not us flat earthers. We are simply using the figures and formulas you yourselves claim as representing reality, and proving through easily observable, demonstrable, repeatable results that the alleged curvature does not exist.
Well, Eric, I hate to burst your bubble, but the 8 inches per mile squared thing actually came from a flerf. The OG flerf, actually, Samuel Rowbotham. He saw this parabolic equation in a surveyor's manual under the title Leveling. Planar surveyors use it as an approximation for small-scale measurements, but Rowbotham took it and ran with it, told everyone that we are supposed to be able to see a curve of 8 inches per mile squared, and here we are today with all you little flat earth sheep bleating, "Where's the 8 inches per mile squared?" Bah! Like it means something. The correct equation for calculating the physical curve is h equals r times 1 minus cos a. And that is accurate for any distance on Earth, but of course it doesn't take into account the fact that we have an atmosphere, which can distort the view of everything due to refraction.
Non-Professor Dave tries to belittle flat earthers for using the parabolic 8 inches per mile squared approximation, but then refuses to mention the fact that this formula gives the same results as the more complicated trigonometrical formula for up to 300 miles. Which is far longer than anyone needs for practical curvature observations.
No, it doesn't give the same result. It gives an approximation and gets progressively less accurate the further you go.
The fact that observers at sea level on clear days can see islands, buildings, and mountains, often over 50 to 100 miles away, completely destroys the assertion that we live on a ball 25,000 miles in circumference.
No, it doesn't, Eric. Just go to the remedial classroom. Oh, fuck's sake, why is this my job? Right, morons and muppets, shut up and sit down. Today we are... What is it, Mr. Truth? You want to report someone vandalizing your property? That is a very serious accusation, Mr. Truth. Do you have any evidence? You've got a video? Oh, let's see it then.
Now that I think about it, the sun, we're told, is a big gaseous ball burning in space in a vacuum. By the way, since we're on the subject of vacuums, fire, the element by which the sun exerts its energy, and I don't care if it's nuclear fission or what, it's still fire, needs what element, folks, in order to continue to burn? Oxygen.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, what's the problem? You think that's defacing your original work? Is the original video still available? Yes? Then shut up, you moron. Right, so some flat earthers claim that when you can see things 50 miles away, that means the Earth is not a spheroid with a circumference of 25,000 miles, because that's seeing too far. Well, that's because flat earthers are all idiots. We have an atmosphere. That atmosphere causes refraction of light. This can allow objects that are behind the physical curve of the Earth to appear higher than they actually are, meaning you can see further than just the physical horizon. 50 miles is less than 1 degree of the arc of the curve of Earth. That means light really doesn't even have to bend that much due to refraction for us to see that far. Now, your homework is to survive the night without accidentally swallowing your tongue. Get out. Class dismissed.
Regardless of which curvature formula or curvature calculator used, you can even check the Debunking or other globe apologist sites, input the figures, and see that these simple observations are in complete defiance of the globe's math.
I challenge any flat earther to show me one single observation that cannot be explained by the Metabunk calculator. I've used that many times to disprove flat earthers' claims of seeing too far. It even has an advanced mode to input temperature and air density, etc.
Number 3, all flat earthers say the same two things about water. The first is, water doesn't curve, and the second is, water finds its own level. The second phrase is completely meaningless, so the fact that you all say that exact thing verbatim is just one of the many demonstrations that you all blindly repeat what you hear without giving it a moment's thought. As for the first phrase, stating that water doesn't curve is at least a coherent thought. However, it is dead wrong. Put a drop of water on a piece of wax paper or a leaf. What does it look like? A freaking sphere. Isn't that something? In your haste to mindlessly parrot what you heard from flat earth priests about water, you forgot to look at water. Water curves, my friends. Look at this curved meniscus. Look at these waves. Water curves all the time.
Holy snarky strawmen, Batman. Not really a Professor Dave is stooping to new levels of sarcastic sophistry. Let me try doing this with that condescending cadence he delivers so naturally. Well, Dave, water most certainly does find its own level, and that's why water has been used as the #1 most accurate leveling tool for thousands upon thousands of years.
Citation fucking required, Eric. Water doesn't seek anything. It conforms to forces acting on it, and the word level, in this case, literally means the curve of the Earth. The Verrazano Narrows Bridge in New York shows that water isn't flat. It's so large that the curve of the Earth was taken into account when constructing it. The two plumb towers are 1 and 5 inches further apart at the top than at the bottom, meaning the water underneath the bridge is curved.
Water does not have the ability to stay piled upon itself, so it will always flow outwards towards the lowest uncontained point.
Hold the fuck up, let's look at that picture in the bottom right. Okay, nobody says water acts like that. I mean, what? And as for pictures of water curving, don't worry bruh, I gotcha.
Once contained, the surface of undisturbed water will always remain level, with no deviation in elevation from one point to any other.
Of course there won't be a deviation in elevation. Elevation is the height above sea level, you moron. And as sea level follows the curve of the Earth, there would be no elevation deviation.
As for the straw man, water doesn't curve, Dave has conveniently shortened this to suit his narrative, when he should have said, large bodies of water at rest do not curve. The claim is large bodies of water sticking to and curving around a ball, not a single drop of water beating. That is a false equivalency and a straw man. We are not talking about the beating of a single drop of water, nor the meniscus in a glass of water, nor static electricity bending running water towards a comb. So any of these sophist examples put forth trying to prove curved water do nothing but show the desperation of these pseudoscientists to come up with such red herrings.
But water does curve. That's natural's water state when at rest, i.e. has no forces acting on it. For instance, in this video of astronauts on the ISS putting a camera inside of a floating ball of water. This is water's natural state. Due to the fact the ISS is in freefall towards Earth, the net gravitational force is 0. So when there is 0 forces acting on water, it's a ball.
Number 4, you are all quite perplexed about how Earth's atmosphere can exist next to the vacuum of space. This one is rather amusing because what's happening is that since you have no science education, your only context for the word vacuum is a vacuum cleaner. And again, because you have no science education, none of you understand how a vacuum cleaner works, which is a problem because you seem to think that outer space is a vacuum cleaner. Let's take a moment and clear this up. A vacuum is any region where there is no stuff. Here, there is stuff, like air. In space, there is no stuff, or at least very, very close to no stuff. Space is essentially empty. That's a vacuum. It is not a thing that sucks. Vacuums don't suck. Everyone say it with me together. Vacuums don't suck.
Thanks so much for educating us on the subtle nuances and intricacies of how sucking works, Dave. I'm sure we all agree you are uniquely well qualified for explaining this subject. Unfortunately, though, your sucky straw man explanation still has not provided demonstrable proof of how a positive pressure system like Earth's atmosphere can exist adjacent to a negative pressure system like space without a solid barrier between the two. Anytime two opposing pressure systems come together without some solid membrane separating them, an equilibrium is quickly achieved. Nobody except Dave is saying space should suck Earth's atmosphere like a vacuum cleaner. We are saying, show us a demonstration of two opposing pressure systems without any solid barrier between them that do not equilibrate. If you cannot demonstrate this, but wish to claim this only happens at a scale too large for you to recreate, that is wishful thinking, not science.
Oh, Eric, guess you're a bit out of touch, huh? You're not going to like this because I debunked that claim a while ago. This is the inside of a tokamak nuclear fusion reactor. It's a vacuum chamber of 10 to the negative 11 torr. That band of blue you see is a high pressure area of ionized gas. As you can see, there is no physical barrier between the two, and it is not equalizing. In this case, it's some clever electrical and magnetic forces. In the case of our atmosphere, it's gravity. Good old reliable gravity, killing the flat earth delusion every day. And with that, that's all the stupid that I can take for right now. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that... Wait a minute, that felt wrong. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that does... No, that still didn't feel quite right. What's going on here? Hey, I'm FTF... Oh. Hey, I'm... Oh, what the hell? Hey, oh... Hoi hoi! I didn't mean to say that. I do feel better though. I better get this over. I don't want to hang around on this channel too long. Could you imagine being Planet Walk, an actual hobbit? Anyway, this is part 2 of episode 46 of Flerfs Are Idiots, and I'm doing it over here to cover for Planet Walk while he is busy having second breakfast or something, I guess. You can find part 1 over on my channel.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thanks for joining me as we continue our journey through the mind of Eric Dubay. Please don't make me go back in there, it's empty and dark. Alright, let's get to it.
One of your favorite little gotcha challenges is to request that we demonstrate how water can stick to a ball spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. The implication is that water and everything else should fly off of it, like a child getting thrown from a merry-go-round. Well, it's very cute that you get overwhelmed by numbers with 4 digits in them, but in actuality, the Earth spins once per day. One time in 24 hours. Get on a merry-go-round and have someone push you one time around over 24 hours. Not a very thrilling ride, is it? The issue is that the Earth is really, really big. So if instead of using rotational velocity to describe a rotating body, like a normal person, you try to use linear tangential velocity, you're going to get a pretty big number. But to be honest, it's still not really that big.
It seems you're the one getting overwhelmed by your own globe figures, Dave. The alleged speed at which your tilting, wobbling, spinning space testicle Earth is actually supposed to rotate at the equator is 1,039 miles per hour.
No, it's not rotating at 1,039 miles per hour. As you did with the earlier points Dave made, you've completely ignored what he said. You do not measure rotation in miles per hour. You use an angular velocity, or revolutions per minute. Its angular velocity at every point on the globe is 15 degrees per hour, and its RPM is 0.000694. Tangential velocity is not the same as angular velocity, you muppet.
We are all well aware that this means 1 rotation per day, but thanks for continuing to speak to your audience like illiterate, petulant children and pretending we cannot understand such basic concepts.
Well, actually, he's talking to you flat earth morons, whose IQ can be measured on a scale of 1 to 10, not his usual audience. His normal audience are used to learning about organic chemistry and the warping of space-time. You flat earthers are illiterate, petulant children incapable of understanding such concepts.
Furthermore, this little water doesn't stick to a ball challenge is the strawiest straw man that was ever made of straw. The Earth is huge. It generates an enormous gravitational field. That's why everything sticks to it. A ball is very tiny. It does not generate an enormous gravitational field, so things don't stick to it.
So again, just like your last point, you cannot demonstrate water curving around and sticking to a ball, but wish to claim it only happens on a scale too large for you to recreate. That is no different from me claiming that unicorns exist, and when asked to show a single example of one, I cannot, but instead I say, unicorns do too exist, but they are macrocosmic invisible unicorns that cannot be observed. Invisible macrocosmic unicorns may exist in Dave's fantasy delusions, but if he cannot show a single demonstrable evidential example, it is by definition not scientific.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point
in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
No, that's not the same at all. We can demonstrate the effects of gravity, that there is an attractive force between masses that causes water to stick to Earth. The Cavendish experiment, which is repeated in universities all the time by first-year physics students, demonstrates that attractive force exists in the magnitude we say it does. However, the only evidence for unicorns is that for some reason they are the national animal of Scotland. No, I'm not kidding. Go and look it up.
Number 6. Lots of you say that moonlight is cold. This is astonishing for a number of reasons. The first is that it is not related to any claim you could possibly be making in order to argue for a flat Earth. But the second, and much more important detail, is that it is the perfect demonstration of the fact that you have no clue how science works. Some flat Earth priest measured the temperature under the moonlight and then again under something providing shade. Wow, moonlight makes it colder. But does it? Shouldn't you add some element of control to your experiment? What's a control, you ask? You see, your measurement isn't evidence of anything. You now have to repeat the experiment when there is no moonlight to make sure that the moonlight was indeed the cause of the discrepancy in temperature. This is something you should have learned in middle school, but don't worry, I'll finish the experiment for you. Take the measurements again on a night with a new moon so that there is no moonlight. Look at that. You'll get the same result. So the moonlight absolutely wasn't the reason for the discrepancy in temperature.
There are countless videos proving moonlight to be colder than moonshade, including peer-reviewed published experiments like in the Lancet journal.
Yeah, I can't find a single peer-reviewed science experiment that says the moonlight is cold. I honestly can't believe that this is still a thing flat earthers go on about.
Can perform their own research on this topic, but I have to point out the obvious flaw Dave seems to have overlooked while he was so busy talking down to his audience. Dave assumes we don't know what a control is and insists that doing the experiment on different days during different phases of the moon will give different temperatures. Yes, Dave, of course it will, because it's a different day. Control experiments must be done simultaneously for them to be able to control for anything.
That's not how that works at all. How do you know it's the moonlight causing the cooling effect if you don't do it when the moon isn't there or in different phases? You just proved you don't know what a control is with that very sentence, you fucking idiot. Now, look at this experiment by Where's Wally. He built a temperature sensor array and placed it in the moon shade as the moonlight swept over it during the night. These sensors noted no substantial change in temperature because moonlight isn't cold.
Redoing the experiment under different conditions on a different day is anything but a control. Regardless, the experiment has been done countless times by different people with the same results. Moonlight, especially during the full moon, is colder than moonshade.
No, it fucking isn't. Eric, once again, please go to the remedial classroom. Sit down, shut up, no screwing around. This is detention, and apparently I pulled the short straw. So, have to stay longer with you special students today. I wonder if Burger King is hiring. I can't keep doing this fucking job. Alright, Eric, you think moonlight is cold. That's stupid. Do you know why? Eric, pay attention. No, I don't care that this is when you would normally be doing your yoga. Put that hemp yoga mat away and focus. What you are talking about, moonlight being cold, is a phenomenon called radiative cooling. During the day, when the Earth is facing the sun, it receives energy. When it's night, the Earth is facing the cold emptiness of space and it radiates that energy back out. Now, if you are in a shaded area at night, or in the moon shade, as you would put it, that heat is stopped from escaping, because there is something in the way causing shade. However, if you have an open sky, or in the moonlight, then there is nothing blocking that heat from escaping, meaning the temperature would be lower in the moonlight than in the moon shade, but not because the moon emits cold light. That's fucking stupid, and it violates the second law of thermodynamics. Now, I don't want to be here any longer, so I'm going to let you leave early. Don't tell anyone, and I won't. Go on, get out. Right, is he gone? Where's the fucking whiskey? Oh God, there it is.
You did get one thing right, though, and that is that this, once again, has nothing to do with flat Earth. It's funny how desperate you are to come up with 10 things all flat earthers supposedly say, yet several of your examples are just random red herrings that have nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
No, it's still dumb shit that you say.
Number 7. Many of you say some unintelligible nonsense about water flowing uphill, or that on the globe model some rivers flow uphill. This one is so stupid that I genuinely can't believe any human could fall for it. You'll look at a globe and say that a river flows this way and that this is somehow uphill, because you seem to think that up on the screen is some kind of universal up in space. Listen up, there is no up and down in space. This is not up, this is not down. To believe so would be as dumb as thinking that on Earth, whichever way you happen to be facing is north. No one on Earth is upside down or on their side. Up on Earth is away from the surface of the Earth, no matter where you are on the Earth.
Here, in yet another example of globe earthers trying to make common sense sound like nonsense, we hear that up is not up and down is not down. People live stuck all around a ball Earth, but nobody is sideways or upside down.
Another argument from Ignorance Eric. That should be your new name, Ignorance Eric.
Globe believers hate thinking about people being sideways or upside down on their silly ball, so they just claim there is no such thing as up or down to calm their fevered brains. But regardless of their internal mind games, their ball model has people stuck at any and all of 360-degree inclinations around the thing, which means people would by necessity be walking around sideways and upside down relative to one another.
Relative to one another, yes, but that's the thing. Up and down is relative. On Earth, down is towards the centre of gravity and up is away from the centre of gravity. And that's no problem, because we have demonstrated gravity is a real thing.
Likewise, Earth's many hundreds of rivers are constantly flowing north, south, east, west, and every other intermediary direction simultaneously, some of which flow for hundreds of miles with only the slightest of change in elevation. An absolute impossibility on a globe of given proportions.
Says who? A dipshit who needs directions to feed himself so he doesn't gouge his eye out with a spoon by accident? No. Gravity is the answer that you are looking for. You might not like it, you definitely don't understand it, but your ignorance doesn't change the fact that it is the answer.
8. Many flat earthers remain dumbfounded by the idea that the Earth is slightly closer to the sun in winter than in summer. As I've said before, winter up north is summer down south and vice versa, so your confusion is one of northern hemisphere narcissism, but it is also one of complete ignorance. Here's the Earth. Here's the light coming from the sun. Look at this portion. It hits the Earth straight on. Look at this portion. Because of the curvature of the Earth, the light hits the surface at an angle and is therefore distributed around a greater area. Same amount of heat distributed around a larger area, lower average temperature. This is absolutely trivial to understand.
Thanks, Dave. Nobody is dumbfounded or confused about these simple pseudoscientific claims you're making.
That's a lie. You are ignorant, Eric. You are, and all other flat earthers.
Vince, apparently they prefer the word retard.
Aye? Oh, how very quaint.
And I bet you're going to show how dumbfounded you are in the next few painfully slow sentences out of your stupid face.
We're simply presenting the inconsistencies of your model to you in question form because we're used to thinking for ourselves and allowing others to think for themselves, rather than condescendingly talking down to everyone from a pedestal like you're some infallible superior being armed with objective truth. The question is simple. How can the globe model purport the sun to be approximately 3 million miles closer to Earth in January, when winter and colder temperatures are found all over the Earth, than in July, when Earth experiences its warmest temperatures?
Because, in the grand scheme of things, that 3 million miles is nothing. It really doesn't change the amount of energy the Earth receives as a whole that much. It's not my fault that you can't understand this, and all other things that involve maths.
Dave claims due to the ball Earth's tilt, different places receive different amounts of direct sunlight, and that is what produces the seasonal and temperature changes.
It is! And how are you going to fuck that simple fact up?
This makes no sense, however, because if the sun's heat travels over 90 million miles to reach the ball Earth, how could a slight tilt, a mere few thousand miles maximum, negate the sun's 90 million mile journey, giving us simultaneous tropical summers and Antarctic winters?
So you just ignored what Dave said and pleaded ignorance again. How do you think this is debunking, Professor Dave? You're basically going, I don't understand, so you're wrong. Ha! Checkmate, Gloobers! The same rays that have travelled 93 million miles have to spread the same energy over a larger surface area, meaning less energy per square mile. No matter how big the sun is, the ray that reaches Earth still has to spread over a larger area if the Earth is tilted away.
Number 9. Many flat earthers refer to the body of scientific knowledge as scientism. This is meant to be derogatory, implying that science is a religion. I'm very sorry, but saying this just demonstrates that you know nothing about science and probably didn't pass a single science class in high school. Science students are not told what to believe. They are shown how to perform experiments. Even in high school physics, students use blocks and ramps and balls and pendulums and carts and rulers and timers to derive Newton's laws and many other such pillars of science. So using the word scientism only serves to disqualify you from adult conversation regarding science. In actuality, it is quite clear why you adopt this viewpoint, because you just accept whatever you hear if it's what you want to believe. This is why your beliefs are baseless. Since you are incapable of doing anything other than repeating what you are told, you assume that others are doing the same thing, but they are not.
Scientism is simply another way of saying pseudoscience. For example, when you claim that bodies of water can curve around, stick to objects, and display the shape of said objects upon their surface, like the alleged ball earth under your alleged curved oceans, but cannot give a single demonstrable example on a scale small enough to recreate, that is called scientism, or pseudoscience.
Number one, they are not the same. Pseudoscience is defined as science outside of the scientific method, whereas scientism is a stupid word that you fucking idiots made up. And if you understood anything about gravity, you would know that a small mass cannot create a large gravitational force of attraction that can stick water to a ball. I know you won't understand this, ignorance, Eric, but Fg equals G m1 m2 over r squared answers all your questions about gravity. But that's math, and I know you don't get it.
Likewise, when you claim that opposing pressure systems can exist side by side without a solid barrier between them, but cannot provide a single evidential example of this claim, you are spouting more scientism.
Yeah, I covered that in part 1. Oh look, there I am. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what the mountain did to Prince Oberon's skull.
Belly of my cow. I killed her children. Then I raped her. Then I smashed her head in like this.
So, I got a new order from NASA the other day that I had to do a video about two guys that were pushing the flat earth truth. I'm sorry, I mean the flat earth lies, obviously. And I was a little confused because after looking at the videos that NASA sent, I knew I'd seen these guys somewhere before. Introducing the morons of the week, Red Pill Philosophy and Flat Earth Sage, otherwise known as the Mario Brothers. Sit back and relax, get some facepalm protection, as Brainy Beaver and I give you Flerfs Are Idiots, episode 48.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thanks for joining me once again as we look at willful ignorance on steroids. Before we get to the stupid, a quick word about today's sponsor. Thanks to Sobytech.com for sponsoring today's video. Sobytech make a range of high quality charging cables, including these awesome flashing ones that make it look like you can see the electricity flow into the device. The charging cables have magnetic connectors that stop the cables getting frayed at the ends, and you can leave the connector in your phone to stop any dust or flat earthers' tears getting in your charging ports. The charging cables come with 3 magnetic connectors for iPhone, mini USB and Type-C, and you can choose to get 1 of each or 3 of the same. Sobytech also do a range of power banks that can hold up to 3 full charges of a standard phone and charge 2 devices at the same time. And they also do a YouTube content creator kit that includes a holder for a phone and a backlight. Coming soon, Sobytech will also offer a range of non-glow-in-the-dark cables and a fast charge plug. Head to Sobytech.com to help support this channel and to get the last cables you will ever need. Once again, thanks to Sobytech.com for sponsoring today's video and my 40-hour stream I did to celebrate 40,000 subscribers. Find the link to Sobytech.com in the description of this video. Now, on with the stupid. I'm going to take a look at Red Pill Philosophy, a flat earth dumbass that calls himself a high IQ skeptic, who is terrified of me. As of the time of writing, he's been refusing to debate me, even on his own channel, for 316 days. I guess he's too busy saving the Mushroom Kingdom.
Hey, what's up everybody? So, in my skeptical, pro-skepticism journey into just being a skeptic in general, basically.
He's trying to tell us something, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe something to do with being a skeptic? I'm not sure, he wasn't very clear.
I was recently thinking about space, and you know how very few people, I mean, if you consider the billions of people who live on the face of the earth. It's got to be, you know, I mean, just compare that to the proportionally tiny little number of people in the space. Space is something that everyone pretty much believes in, but a very, very, very tiny minority of people have been to space.
Well, that's because it's really fucking expensive to send people to space. Between 1970 and the year 2000, it cost roughly $54,500 to send each kilogram to space. Thanks to the advances made by SpaceX, that's down to around $2,700 per kilogram. And with the average person weighing around 62 kilograms, that would still be roughly $167,000. But that's SpaceX and NASA. Space tourism with Virgin Galactic, for instance, costs about $250,000 a seat. And I've never met a flat earther with a high-paying job. I guess when you're too busy saving your girlfriend from being captured by Bowser, getting a decent job is quite hard.
So I was just thinking to myself, you know, it's crazy, you know, this whole space is fake thing, right? I'm like, you know, let me put my skeptic cap on, you know.
Wait, doesn't your cap normally have an M on it?
It's me, Mario.
Let's just like be a skeptic here, because I've always been a fan of like, basically like being skeptical, like just like, hey, let's be skeptics, you know, like, you know, I just feel like, you know, like everyone should love being a skeptic. That's basically my view.
Yeah, it's like you've just learned the word skeptic and you want to use it as much as possible. We get it. You think you're skeptical. You're not. You're just an idiot.
So you know what? You know, this whole space is fake. What if space is fake? Well, if space is fake, then that would mean that space is fantasy.
Yeah, but space isn't fake, is it? Take this video from Red's Rhetoric of a rocket going to space. You can see as the rocket gets higher and higher in elevation, the exhaust gases coming out the back get wider and wider, until they just expand so much you can barely see them. This is because we have a gradient of pressure to our atmosphere. It goes from 14.7 psi to practically 0 psi, and that's called space. You should be familiar with space. There's plenty between your ears, Mario.
It's a fantasy. It's pure fantasy.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
And it got me thinking about how, well, if space is just a literal fantasy, it doesn't exist, then science fiction should no longer be called science fiction. Science fiction, if space is fake, and everything we think we know about space, from the moon landing to cultural representations of space with Star Wars and Star Trek, all the space propaganda, if it turns out that space is fake, then science fiction is nothing more than fantasy.
Science fiction is fantasy? Dude, you're a fucking genius! Why haven't I seen this before? So, Star Trek isn't a documentary? I guess the Earth's flat then.
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts.
Everything you've ever seen about space, from spaceships flying and shooting things and landing on other spheres light years away from Earth, all these grand things that only exist on a TV screen for 99% of the population, you know, excluding the tiny percent who have allegedly been to space, if you believe that.
Yeah, we don't need to believe it. It is a fact. There is so much evidence of space travel that to say it's all fake is just willful ignorance. Civilians have been to space, including Cirque du Soleil owner Guy Laliberté, who in 2009 spent $42 million to go to the ISS.
Then that means that science fiction, why would they separate science fiction from the fantasy category? Think about that for a second. You go search any bookstore. You have your fantasy section, and then you have science fiction. And in many cases, science fiction is about space. But if space is fake, then science fiction falls under fantasy now.
Mario, there's a reason you are a plumber and not an author. In fact, I'm pretty sure you've just made an enemy of every author on Earth. Science fiction is very different to fantasy when we're talking about different genres. Science fiction deals with things like futuristic technology, space travel, time travel, parallel universes, and aliens. whereas fantasy deals with mythical realms and magical creatures. I mean, let's face it, Flat Earth is firmly in the fantasy section. Only magic can explain the Discworld.
Because think about how oxymoronical that is. What an oxymoron that is. Science, if anything, means truth. Fiction means fake. It's like a clash of terms. It's almost like they put it right there in front of your face.
Look, Mario, what I'm getting from you is that you've never read any science fiction. In fact, you've never read a book, have you?
It's science, the pursuit of truth. And it's fiction. It's fake. Now, of course, they mean science fiction. But my point is, if space turns out to be fake, then that means science fiction is nothing more than science fantasy.
Yeah, there is already a genre called space fantasy. It combines both science fiction and fantasy tropes. Something like Star Wars, for instance. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, said that Star Wars isn't science fiction. It's a fantasy film and a space opera.
Indeed, why even put the word science there if it's all just a big fantasy? You go ahead and you look through it, and science fiction, most of it is spheres and space. It's almost entirely spheres and space and aliens.
You seem surprised that a Google image search for science fiction resulted in images of planets and aliens. Mario, are you new to the internet? Honestly, I'm surprised you object to all these spheres in space. I mean, I've played Super Mario Galaxy.
And I found that to be very, very interesting. Because you know what? More powerful than the moon landing? More powerful than sitting in a science class? More powerful than anything NASA tells you is probably the cultural representation of space, the cultural presentation of space. Just telling you, it's just think about the impact Star Wars has, Star Trek, science fiction in general, movies like Alien or Aliens.
I think you're getting confused between culture and popular media, but the thing is, even if your point is stupid, it's also wrong. I think real science is much more powerful and awe-inspiring, giving people that can't walk prosthetic legs, communication with anyone on the planet instantly, real spaceflight, people landing on the moon. Yeah, Star Trek is nice escapism, but knowing that we are actually trying to put people on the moon again, and even Mars, is extremely powerful.
This is a big part of culture, about what the human mind creates. The problem is, instead of putting it in the category of fantasy, they slap the word science in front of it, and now you suddenly think that this is somehow based in truth.
Nah, I like to think they put the word science there so morons like you could make crazy rambling videos so we can all laugh at you. And we are.
So, this is sort of a random video, guys. I know I haven't uploaded in weeks, so I probably have a bunch of, new subscribers who don't, this video is completely out of left field, and, that's fine. If this isn't what you're into, then, you can just smash the unsubscribe button.
You heard him, guys.
But yeah, this is just, just me continuing on my, just my skeptical journey, just being like a skeptic, and like, ever since I heard about the skeptic community, I was like, oh wow, there's like a community like online, like the skeptic. Yeah, I never heard of like the skeptic community. It was fucking wild. And so once I heard that there was like the skeptic community, I was like, oh shit. So like it's like politically correct to be skeptical. It's like, oh, this is cool. So now ever since then, like I put my skeptic hat on, and now I'm just like a skeptic, dude. I'm just like asking questions and being skeptical. Like it's like just like being a skeptic. It's great.
Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I think he may have just had a stroke whilst saying the word skeptic there.
So that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, man, that stuff is flat. This is a quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is not me saying this shit. All right, he says you can't see Earth's curvature from 128,000 feet high with a very wide field of view.
And you dipshits love to misquote NDT, don't you? Off you go to the remedial classroom, Mario. Okay, sit down everyone and stop yapping. Oh, Mr. Red Pill, this isn't a dress-up day. Well, you come dressed as Mario. Really? That's how you normally look? Anyway, I must ask you a question. Did you do your homework? I don't see it handed in. Maybe it's in another castle. Right, anyway, why did Neil deGrasse Tyson say that stuff is flat? Well, first off, he didn't realise that flat earthers would misunderstand and take his quote out of context. And secondly, he's basically right. The earth is massive. You think it's a long way down to the shops for some milk? Well, that's peanuts to earth. And that means unless you are really high... No, Mr. Morgoyle, not that kind of high. Unless you're really, really far from the surface of the earth, it's going to look flat. Unfortunately for all of you, a future in space travel of any kind isn't really in your futures. NASA requires people to finish school and, unluckily for me, you're gonna be here forever. Oh shit, that's a depressing thought. Please get out, I need to start drinking. I feel sorry for the teacher in the remedial classroom. He's got an impossible Hold on, that's my phone. Yes, hello? Hi, NASA. Really? Well, isn't there anyone else that can do it? I'm kind of in the middle of a video. Yeah, okay, just activate the implant. Sorry guys, I've got to go. There's a flat earth emergency that apparently only I can deal with. I've just showed you Mario being a flerf, so here's Brainy Beaver, and I'm pretty sure he's covering Luigi.
Well, thanks, Fight, for the introduction. Hello, everybody, and this is my portion of the video. I drew the short stick, so I got stuck with Flat Earth Sage, and there really isn't a whole lot to talk about with Flat Earth Sage, except I did a video on him probably the better part of a year ago, and while he was asking the hard questions, kind of like...
I thought of, even if we were to believe what, even if I was to believe what NASA says, the question popped up in my head: what good has NASA done for humanity? What has NASA done, or better yet, what have they done for this world?
So right off the bat, you know you're dealing with a real free thinker, a real Einstein, the kind of guy that doesn't hold back and tells you how it is. But had he done any previous research, he would have discovered that they've invented many of the items that he uses from day to day, including the camera he's filming himself on. That's right. In the 90s, NASA invented digital image sensors based on complementary metal oxide semiconductors, also known as CMOS. This enabled tiny, battery-friendly cameras to be placed into mobile phones and high-definition video that can be found in products like GoPros. They also invented key nutrient additives found in baby formula. You know, that stuff his mommy feeds him when he goes home from telling everybody to twoof? But today, he's not asking the simple questions. He's moved on to bigger fish. Today, Flat Earth Sage is going to tell us about pressure and how it works. So buckle up and sit tight, get ready. Hello? Oh, Canadian Space Agency, good. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about FTFE and the teleportation thing he has installed. Well, I want something like that. Oh, come on. First you let NASA take all of your aerospace engineers and help them get to the moon, and when they canceled the Ever Arrow, and now... Yeah? I don't care about budget restrictions. Surely you can rig something. Yeah? I'm gonna use it to go on vacation. What's the point? I don't care. I don't care. Listen, they're making you look like a bunch of lumberjacks, frankly. Well, yeah, I would hope so. Okay, thanks. That was the CSA. They're not making promises at this point.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Flat Earth Sage. I know it's been a while since I did a video. Jeez, I'm scared to know how long it's been, but as you guys know, like, I usually don't try to make a video unless I have something really good to talk about. And today, I want to talk about gas pressure. First off, what is gas pressure? Gas pressure, try to sum this up as easy as I can.
trying! We're running out of letters!
Just turn the M's upside down and send them down here!
You can't just do that! There's a lot of paperwork before you...
I don't care! I'll take the heat! Just turn them over and send them down!
It's basically...
We need more E's and W's down here now!
We're trying!
It's basically the buildup of gas that presses on the container, that presses against the container. Gas pressure.
Well, thank you, Flat Earth Sage, for breaking that down in the most scientific of ways. You know, Flat Earthers always make me laugh. Everything's so complicated and exciting for them, even the simple things.
What? What is it?
The sky.
Sky?
Honestly, you want to make us feel like you know anything? Write it down. Be prepared. We are never going to criticize you for having a plan and laying it out, but you look like you know some shit. I mean, you're going to be wrong no matter what. We can almost guarantee it, but hey, look it. It'll have that professional feel. Just, the hell's going on here? This is not cool.
Now, I heard a lot of people talk about gas pressure without a container. Oh man, it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. So today I wanted to give everybody a little bit of visual on gas pressure and how it works. Now, you can measure gas pressure in PSI, if I'm not mistaken. That's pounds per square inch. So right here, I'm over at Wawa right now, over at the free air pump because I have a leaky container. For example, getting tongue-tied. I basically have gas pressure in a container. However, it's leaking. I'm missing a cap for my valve stem. The reason I'm able to drive it right now is because the gas pressure is slowly leaked out of the tire. As the tire moves, as I drive and the tire rotates and it presses down on the ground, it slowly seeps out air pressure out of my tire. This can be confirmed. I can fill my tire up to 32 psi, and the next in a day or two go to fill up my tire and I'll be at like 12 psi or something. I don't know how helpful this will be, but when I think about gas pressure with the container, this is a prime example right here.
So I have a high-end experiment for you, Flat Earth Sage. Take a fan, any old fan. Just find a fan. You know that one you use to keep your ass cold while you're sleeping? Stand in front of it. Do you feel that air pressure against you? That is pressure without a container, sir. You're feeling all those molecules smashing up against your ugly face. Yes, I know. That wasn't what you were talking about, and my example is dismissed by you. The reason we have a gradient is that all those molecules are just like sitting on top of each other, and it's the total weight of all of those molecules in a column pressing down on each other that creates the gradient and the pressure that we experience at ground level. I wonder what force holds all that down, too.
Gravity, you Gravity! Have you ever heard of gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
Now I gotta figure out what's going on with this thing. Oh no. Oh, that stings so much. Whoa, what the fuck?
Alright, those are the sliders that I bought. These are the lights, okay? Flora, oh, and then we bought some gas. I bought gas for the production and all that stuff, so, okay? We are supposedly a community of truth and truth seekers. Therefore, if someone steals from us and commits grand theft, it still ought to be put out publicly. I'm sorry. My loyalties is not to the community. My loyalty is to truth, folks, not to a community. Okay? My loyalty is to my Heavenly Father, my family, and truth. Okay? And this was not only wrong, it was way wrong. And now I've just showed that the police officer's report and findings were wrong. But folks, just so you know too, I am following up with the police station. I'm also going to be reporting the officer for not doing a proper investigation. I'm not going to go into all that. Okay? But just because the officer said it's a civil matter does not make it so. How many times have we seen courts reverse that stuff? So for some people to not put any weight into my testimony when I'm the one who actually had the property stolen is kind of ridiculous to me. Special update also. Robert Taylor and I have been in communication with the Wendell Police Department, and they are reviewing this case because apparently there were some things that were overlooked. Like I said, people, I am well aware of what the law states.
What just happened? Is that my video from December?
So, bear with me for a second. I'm going to put my jacket on. It is below freezing outside, so I need to put on my warm coat.
Okay, so I went through his stuff, and honestly, I kind of got the short end of the stick on this one. He's not doing a lot of flat earth content. There's really not a lot of science on his channel, and there was a time when he may have been about the flat earth, but now his passion, his drive, it's really in fresh picked wild public vegetables and fruits.
Guys, I found raspberries. Oh my god, I love raspberries. Oh my god, look at my cucumber. Cucumber. Nom 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 nom. Wild cherry tree, yeah. The perigly lettuce found on the sidewalk. Medicine, get your free meds, cures anything.
Unfortunately, Flat Earth Sage is a little bit of a dud, which is kind of the case with all of them these days. So, on that note, I guess thanks for coming by and seeing my segment. Thanks for having me. And, holy shit, I gotta get this thing looked at right away because this is no, not again, no!
Alright, so here we are, some of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
Thanks for that, Brainy, and with that is all the stupid that I can take for today. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that reprograms stupidity's sat-nav.
After 400 yards, turn right, and then you have reached your destination.
Normally, I deal with the mass stupidity that is the flat earth, but lately the stupid around other things has been strong, especially the anti-mask Karen brigade, so I've decided to bring back Stupid Humans for episode 6 as we take a look at some of the worst male Karens around. Sit back and engage your facepalm protection as we look at some really, really stupid humans.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thanks for joining me once again as we delve into some serious stupid. Today, we are looking at 4 wonderful examples of humanity. People that really, really care about others and are the most selfless... Oh wait, sorry, the script was wrong there. These guys are fucking dicks. We are in the midst of a global pandemic that has taken nearly 1 million lives, and all we're asking is that you wear a mask in shops or other places that you could be in close proximity to others to help curb the spread of a deadly pathogen. Sounds reasonable, right? Not to Karen it isn't. Meet our first pair of Karens.
What's up, Hugs Nation? Colin checking in here. Our Wednesday street activism. We are in the infamous Jackson Square, and we are going to attempt to get into nations that we were denied entry to before.
So what you're saying is that you've already been denied entry for not covering your disgusting face holes, and just to be a dick, you're going to go and try to get back in, possibly making someone's job a little shittier. I mean, that's grade A fuck nugget behaviour. We are in the middle of a worldwide paradigm shift where we all have to adapt, and it's made a lot of jobs harder, and you just want to make someone's day a little worse. Great job, Karen.
So this will be the first time I'm coming back. I'm gonna keep this live stream going, but do it a little discreetly. All right, so anybody checking in, you'll probably wonder what's going on because I'm not gonna be talking too much, but this is the plan.
Be a massive douche? Fucking genius plan, Karen. And it doesn't take long for someone to do their job and tell him he can't be there without a mask. Guess your plan worked, Karen.
Hey, man. What's up? Sir? Can't go without no mask. No. I'm gonna check out. I got medical exemption. Nope. Like, bylaw didn't come and educate you? Nope. On the law? Nope. You still don't know the law.
My safety, particularly, you can't come in without no mask.
That's not how this works, bro.
It doesn't work.
Like, who do you work for?
It's private property, nations.
You work for nations?
If you want to find us, find us.
You're wrong about the law, Karen, but it's actually irrelevant. Like the man said, he works for a private company, and the private company's policy is simple. No shirt, no shoes, no mask, no fucking service.
We get 40 tickets. Simple as that.
But just like, what do you do? Here, okay, I'm not arguing. Let's just forget about it. Say forget about me. Forget about me. What do you do if someone comes in here with autism? You know, like highly, like can't function, can't wear a mask.
We're not having here.
You don't let them in?
No, that's discrimination. That's discrimination under the law, my friend.
Look, Karen, you don't have autism, so to try and use that as an argument is really stupid. And secondly, even someone with autism can have coronavirus. It's not about the individual, it's about everyone's safety. And if at the moment that means some inconvenience for certain people, then big fucking deal. Coronavirus does not discriminate. So at the moment, to try and save the lives of everybody, we might need to.
I'll be honest. No, I'm not yelling. This is how I speak. This is how I speak. All right. This is how I talk, okay? If I talk loud, I talk loud. All right? That is my normal speaking voice.
What? You normally sound like a whiny little bitch. That's very unfortunate, Karen.
You're fucking... Okay, but this is a violation of our human rights, my friend. Yes, it is. You can't sit here and deny this. This is the law. Okay. Like, this is the common law, all right? This is bylaw of Hamilton.
So is it a violation of human rights? A law? A common law? A bylaw? I don't think you know what the fuck you are talking about. Karen, put on a fucking mask.
Complain. All right, we have complaints. We made several complaints. Good. We'll do when I want to come here.
So this is how you roll?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane to you. You know, it's like, what would you do if someone came here? This is the example I made last week. If someone comes in here and they're a different race, you just say, we don't let black people in here. We don't let Chinese people in here.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
You have to let me not wear a mask because you let black and Chinese people in. That could be the dumbest thing I've ever heard anyone say. Okay, let's take a break from that particular pair of jackasses and look at another Karen.
You dumb fucking what's your problem? What's your dumb fucking problem? You don't know the law? This is how stupid you are.
Sir, if you can't...
You can't use those type of words. Come on, boss.
Jesus, Karen. Do you kiss your brother uncle with that mouth? Clearly, you don't know the law. Because in most places, it is the fucking law to wear a mask. With a mouth like yours, you should wear a fucking muzzle.
It'll cost you $75,000. It's a health code violation to deny service based on someone's disability 1 year. So I would love you to do it. It'll cost you $75,000. Or you can look up the law.
No, it really won't cost them $75,000 because they aren't violating any laws. First off, Karen, the disability law you are trying to hijack actually states that disabilities must be accommodated, except when there is a significant risk to the health and safety of others. You know, like a deadly fucking virus that has killed 200,000 of your fellow Americans. And secondly, you're trying to say only having one ear stops you from wearing a mask. You're a fucking idiot. Also, you do know that you can get masks that go around the back of the head and not over your ears? Come on, Karen. Put on a fucking mask.
You want to look at the law first? This He doesn't know the law. He thinks he's smart. Read Gavin Newsom's law. If you kick me out, it's $75,000. It's your choice. I don't care.
No, it really isn't. And the way you are acting, Karen, it's lucky you're not being carried out by the one ear that is attached to your stupid face.
It's your choice. I don't care. You're gonna call the police then. Well, it's $75,000. You're gonna eat fine. Call the police. I'm gonna love this. It's a $75,000 fine. Don Mexican guy here, you know, because he's a big deal.
Well done, Karen, showing your true fucking colours. You're not only a teen-killing anti-mask fucktard, but you're also a homophobic racist. Looks like we got the Karen trifecta.
Oh, there's an actual law with words? How dumb am I? How dumb are you?
What's your name, boss? What's your name? Yeah, that's what. Go ahead, do that.
What's your name, boss?
Fuck's sake, want to talk about illegal? That kind of shit would get you put on a register. Get a fucking mask on, Karen. That's enough of Mr. $75,000 back to our main pair of morons.
That's not the same as saying we don't let autistic people in here?
No, if you're autistic, then you can stay home. You can't be
If you're black, you can stay home. If you're black, you can stay in the back of the bus. It's the same shit. No, it's not.
What the actual fuck, dude? How are you comparing the historic struggles of black people to trying to protect the majority of the population? Not only is it fucking stupid, but it's disrespectful. Not that I'd expect any better from Karens like you two dipshits.
That's what it is. It's segregation under the law, man. For my safety and for my It has nothing to do with safety. We have exemptions. If we have exemptions under by the law, look, it says right here, unless exempt. Look, right here. Bylaw 20, right there, unless exempt.
Dude, if your voice gets any higher, only dogs are going to be able to hear you. Take a fucking chill pill and put on a mask. Having a medical exemption from wearing a mask isn't a right to do what you want. Yes, the law allows for medical exemptions, but a private business like the shopping centre that you are in has the right to refuse service and decide its own rules. If you are so medically damaged that wearing a mask puts your little snowflake ass in danger, then maybe going out in the middle of a global pandemic that is caused by a virus that can cause permanent damage to your lungs, if you are lucky enough to survive, isn't the best idea? You fucking idiot.
Because you don't understand what the bylaw is that's standing right beside you. You understand. But it's standing right beside you.
Everybody just take like a chill pill. This is private. No, dude, you are enforcing a law. Look, read it.
I'm
read
enforcing
it. Read it.
For my health, safety. That's all it is.
Read it.
For their safety.
Read it.
Because right now, we're stopping coronavirus. You understand that?
Your nose is out of your mask. That's not stopping shit, man.
Yes, they are trying to stop the coronavirus. I really don't see how you don't understand this. You, Karen, might have SARS-CoV-2. So if you go into a place without a mask, there is more chance of you spreading it to somebody else. Wearing a mask is simply an act of compassion. It's a way to possibly save the life of a fellow human being. 1 million people have been killed by this fucking virus, but you don't care about other people. You only care about your rights being taken away. Get a fucking grip and let that man get back to doing his job. People have a hard enough time doing their job at the moment, and assholes like this guy just want to make it harder.
Put your hands up behind.
Bro, you gotta wear a mask, bro.
That's what I call Karen karma. Next up is a Karen I wish had fallen on their face.
Tired enough? I don't give a crap. Okay, then we're gonna have to ask you to leave, or I'm gonna have to ask security to escort you out.
Seek help.
Did Karen actually just pop a fucking Nazi salute? Man, are all Karens just like pieces of shit?
Because you're so young, you don't know what Nazism.
It's our store policy, and it's a privately owned company.
It's Nazism, and you're so young, you don't know what Nazism is. Because you weren't even born when Hitler took over and they used the exact same tactics.
Look, first off, she looks like she is at or has just left high school, so I can guarantee you she studied Hitler recently in her history class and probably knows more than you. Asking you to put on a mask to curb the spread of a deadly disease is far from Nazism. You knew you had to wear a mask before going into the store, but you decided to ignore the rules and be a team-killing fucktard. Good job, Karen. That's really sticking it to the man.
You don't get it. You're young, don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to ask you.
You don't get it.
No, Karen, you don't get it. Wear a fucking mask.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. We will not be able to help you today. And we're gonna have to ask you.
No, it's not that you won't be able to. You
No,
refuse
you
to
cannot.
because you're idiots.
Well, no, because you won't put a mask on.
No, because you're an idiot. Okay, all right, here. I have a mask. What I'll do, I will comply to the requirement.
Please.
Put on a mask, and here's the mask. Here's the mask, and here's the mask. There, I have it on. It's on. You've asked me to put it on.
Yeah, can you
so I
just
have
put
it
it
on.
over?
No, because it doesn't.
That defeats the whole purpose of
No,
putting a mask
I don't give a crap.
You've put the mask on, Karen, so just cover your face holes with it. At this point, you're just being a petulant child.
Because this whole thing is a goddamn lie, and you're too stupid to understand it. You're too stupid to understand it.
All right.
You're too stupid to understand it.
Well, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
ask
and
you
if
to
you're
leave.
recording this whole thing, go ahead and record it.
Calling others stupid when you say a virus that's killed 1 million people is a lie is about as ironic as it gets. And I'm so glad we live in the age of mobile phones. Everyone has a camera in their pocket. They can record your dumbass with it. Let's go and check out our main pair of Karens.
Touching your mask, that's
I'm sorry, but like I just want to know what this line means. It says, "Please respect those who cannot wear masks." What does that mean to you? Go home.
Stay home.
That's not respecting those who don't wear masks. Like, do you know how utterly wrong you are? You go home. You have kids?
That's what it is.
You have kids?
Yeah, I do.
You have a wife?
No.
Imagine if this is how they were treated. Right? You have a kid. Imagine if your kid had
You're
autism.
not wearing a fucking mask.
Shame on you, man. Shame on you.
My God, they're still giving that guy a hard time. This is one of the things that pisses me off about these Karens the most. People are just trying to do their job. They have to deal with this shit and it's not fair. Times are already hard on everybody. But you, Karen, just have to make it that little bit shittier, huh?
Not this store. Bye. Not the owners. Shame on you, sir.
Okay, bye. But you're not coming in.
It's not about coming in. We don't want to give you your business. I've already filed a human rights tribunal complaint with you. I've already called the bylaw. This is the second infraction of the bylaw. Now.
Good. They're gonna put a ticket.
See how bothered he is about all your bullshit, Karen. He knows the rules and he's following them.
It's not about the ticket, man. It's not about the money. It's about our rights.
Do you realize that you're also getting ticketed? You are the person. Yes, you are. Not only does the person denying entry get ticketed, the business gets ticketed as well. So you are under fault of the law.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Yep.
Like these are the facts, my friend. Like this is what we're here fighting for.
You're not there fighting for anything. You're there to be a fucking nuisance. And that's it. That's enough of these two clowns. I can't stand his whiny little voice. Let's take a look at one more Karen, and this one's really angry.
Fine, you want to do this? Want to be another person?
Don't tell me what to do. Do not tell me what to do.
Everyone, this guy refuses.
Put the phone down! Put the phone down! You can't film me in here!
Yes,
this is private. This is a private gym. You cannot film me in here!
There's no expectation of privacy.
Yes, there is.
All I'm asking is to put on a fucking mask.
Yeah, seriously, Karen. Just put on a fucking mask.
I have a medical condition. It's called HIPAA. Read the Constitution.
Did that guy just say he's suffering from HIPAA and that it's in the Constitution?
From HIPAA,
I could
that's bullshit,
suffocate
dude.
with a mask on. I could suffocate.
You're endangering people, okay? This is a real fucking thing.
Put the phone down.
No.
I feel threatened. You're threatening me. Put the phone down. I will sue you.
I'm not threatening you, and you can't sue me.
I can't. I absolutely can sue you. My niece was a lawyer.
Your niece was a lawyer, so she's not even a lawyer anymore?
Okay, good for your fucking niece.
Fuck off.
This is real. This is science.
This is not real. This is a hoax. And you're a sheep wearing a mask. You're a sheep. Blah, blah. That's what you are. That's what you look like.
And with that display of stupidity, that's all the Karen that I can take for today. Hey, I'm FTFE and welcome back to the channel that takes stupidity and it, and then it over, puts it back up the whole from and then on it, puts it in a and it down that goes to the water sanitation plant and Sorry about that. So, Flat Earth's fucking stupid, right? I mean, just look at the crazy stuff they say.
A solar eclipse will happen every single month. And why? Because it takes 27 days, 27 point something days for the moon to orbit the Earth. So at some point, it's going to cross the sun.
Or filling it full of helium and sending it up into the stratosphere. So I think that that's pretty much what our moon is. It is something that is hollow and it's filled full of helium or hydrogen, perhaps.
Serious stupidity. But for some reason, flat earthers also tend to be some of the worst examples of humanity that there are. So today, Brainy Beaver and I take a deep look at one of the dumbest and most vile people on the internet, Nathan Slappy the Clown Oakley. Facepalm protection at the ready. It's episode 49 of Flerfs Are Idiots.
We're living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Thank you for joining me once again as we experience firsthand what happens when humans get addicted to lobotomies. Honestly, I struggled to write this episode, not because it's hard to prove Nathan Oakley hasn't a fucking clue what he's talking about. I mean, you just ask him what diffraction is for that.
So there we go. So I'll ask one more time. What is diffraction? I'll give you 10 seconds. Go. What's diffraction? Oh, it's quiet. He doesn't know what diffraction is.
To be fair, you didn't give him 10 seconds.
Oh, I'll give you 10 seconds to Google it. Go on. What's diffraction? Better get Googling fast.
But more because it's physically hard to click play on one of his streams. I mean, I've never wanted to throat punch a voice before. But I put myself through the torture of listening to him so I can show you what an absolute dipshit he really is. He does a daily Flat Earth show that he calls a debate, but it's just a little echo chamber where he controls the mute button and asks the same dumbass questions every day that he calls his housekeeping questions.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
What the fuck is Nathan using as a camera? A potato? He's been doing this YouTube thing way longer than me. You think he'd have a camera that doesn't look like it's been smeared with fucking Vaseline?
Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream.
Did he just say that you're not allowed to swear?
Not until you take me to your R value that you need to prove that it's obstruction caused by Earth curve, which is what you're asserting. The only steps you can take to get that conclusion is by using R. So let's see it. Then I'll rape you with it.
No, it's a straw man, actually. I'm just looking over water.
No, it's not a straw man. You've just asserted the obstruction is caused by Earth curve. So, dumb fuck, let's see you draw that logical connection, dumb fuck. This is you being raped. Let me pin you down, Tim. Let's all hold his arms while I rape him. Yeah, Tim, this is you being raped. This is you being raped, Tim.
Nathan, you're a piece of shit. And a fucking idiot.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth.
What the fuck does that even mean? Sphere edge? Have you ever seen a sphere? Where's the fucking edge?
None whatsoever. Well, all I've seen is measurements of an optical curve, and that's definitely not actual, so no.
Okay, so did that guess just say that he has only seen measurements of an optical curve? Nathan, if this is the intelligence of the panel you have, no wonder you're all still stuck on these basic-ass questions. Any evidence of Earth curve? Yes, there is loads. It's actually been measured by professionals several times. Go to mctoon.net/r to see a handy list of historic measurements. And also there's you know, this.
But their own side tell us exactly that. We cannot see the geometric horizon.
Because it's not there.
That's the voice of Arwen.
And I still don't have a freaking 1,000 subscribers. What the hell's going on?
He is, really exciting. Here's a highlight clip of him, courtesy of Conspiracy Cats. But back to you, Slappy the Clown. No, of course you do not see the geometric horizon. 2 reasons. First off, there is an atmosphere which light has to travel through. That atmosphere is graduated and curved. This causes many different refractive effects which you're far too dense to comprehend. And secondly, we never see what we are looking at exactly as it is. Light has to travel from the horizon to your eyes. That takes time, and it's the same with everything. Light has to reflect off of an object and travel to our eye. So don't try and take us sane people saying that we don't ever see the geometric horizon as some sort of victory. It's more a display of your inability to understand simple concepts. In short, Nathan, you're a fucking idiot.
Any evidence of axial rotation? We've got one housekeeping question done with 16 minutes into the show.
Yeah, you guys waffle on so much about things that you don't understand. I had to cut a load out. And axial rotation?
If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift. A 15 degree per hour drift.
Thanks, Bob.
Axial rotation. Oh dear.
No. Well, I'm not jumping 460 meters away from me, so obviously not.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Honestly, listening to you guys is really hard. It makes me sad to know that we are in fact the same species. Nathan, your moronic guest thinks that if the Earth is rotating, then if they jump, they would land 460 meters away from where they jumped as the Earth whizzes along underneath them. I mean, that's so stupid it actually burns. Conservation of momentum is a thing. If the Earth's surface has a tangential velocity of 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, that means so do you when you start to jump. You maintain that tangential velocity that is the same as the Earth's surface as you are in the air and land in the same spot you jumped from. Look at this video, which I know you've all seen before. The person bouncing has the same tangential velocity as the trampoline they are bouncing on and the tractor that is pulling them. They maintain that tangential velocity and land back on the trampoline.
We don't have Earth turning underneath at 15 degrees an hour, globeheads. You do! But it just doesn't happen. We don't see anything drifting away because we're turning underneath. So what, debunk that? Yeah, go ahead!
Nathan, your strawman skills are impressive. The problem is, you guys claim that we claim the Earth turns underneath us at 15 degrees per hour. We don't claim that. We claim the Earth turns at 15 degrees per hour and we are on it, which means that we have the same tangential velocity as the Earth at each latitude. We debunk your strawman representation of our model, and then we debunk your misunderstanding of the Coriolis effect. If we leave the Earth's surface, conservation of momentum keeps us relative to the Earth's surface. If we are in a plane, the plane uses the atmosphere, which rotates with the Earth and is therefore in the same reference frame. It's not our fault that you're too dumb to understand your own argument.
No drift. Reference frame's ruined. There'll be a global reference frame turning underneath stuff not attached at 15 degrees an hour, and that doesn't happen. It's not our claim, and we're saying it should happen. It doesn't happen, but would if the Earth was spinning. So you need to show it happening, and it isn't. It's not that you need to debunk the claim that it should happen, because that's not our claim. That's what's happened.
There you go. Exactly what I'm talking about. You are claiming something should happen if the Earth is rotating and something leaves the surface, but that's your claim, not ours. Try to learn the model that you attempt to debunk, Nathan. Oh, but, that would involve research and, You're a flat earther.
Vince, apparently they prefer the word retard.
Eh? Oh, how very quaint.
But according to Netflix, Bob Nodell proved that the Earth is turning with the gyroscope.
Exactly. So now everyone's well aware then that they've got a claim the Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour. So it's well established, thanks to Netflix, the Earth's supposed to turn underneath at 15 degrees an hour.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
No, you freaking dumbass. The Earth wasn't turning underneath Bob's gyro.
A 15 degree per hour drift.
The gyroscope was turning with the Earth at 15 degrees per hour. There was no underneath. The gyroscope good old Bob used measures the rotation of what it is physically on, not what's moving underneath it. Nathan Oakley, you're dumb as fuck.
Second reference frame turning underneath. Stuff not attached. Well, it would drift away. That's what drift is. Drone goes up, you turn underneath it, and oh my god, it's drifting away from me because I'm turning underneath at 15 degrees an hour. Said nobody ever.
Correct, you fucknugget. No one ever said that, because, once again, that is your strawman nonsense representation of what you think should happen. No, a drone, like a helicopter, uses the atmosphere to provide lift. That atmosphere is rotating at the same speed as the Earth, therefore, the drone wouldn't just drift away, and that's not what we say should happen. Good job, you've just debunked your own stupidity. Nothing else.
Have we done axial rotation enough now? Should we move on to distance to the sun? Any evidence thereof?
Nope. Any evidence for the distance to the sun? And the best that they can come up with is 5 seconds of silence and then no. Well, I hate to disappoint you morons. What am I fucking talking about? No, I don't. I love it. But the distance to the sun has been measured. We've sent freaking spacecraft there. The Parker Solar Probe was the first spacecraft to literally fly into the sun's low solar corona. We have to know the distance if we're sending shit there, but there is ways that it was figured out way before 2018 when the Parker Solar Probe was launched. The key is the transit of Venus. During a transit, the planet crosses in front of the sun as seen from Earth. From different locations, Venus will appear to cross larger or smaller parts of the sun. By timing how long these crossings take, comparing parallax from the different locations and doing a relatively simple bit of trigonometry, the distance to the sun has been accurately calculated for hundreds of years and confirmed to more and more accuracy as technology improves. You just denying data from NASA and other space agencies is just denialism.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Would that be like the sun's cousin or something?
I suppose so, yeah.
So I may have just had a stroke there for a sec, but I'm pretty sure that guy just asked, is the molten core of the Earth the sun's cousin? And then Nathan agreed with him. But as for evidence, yes, there's loads. For instance, the entire field of seismology. A seismologist is a scientist that studies earthquakes and seismic waves. They do this with stations all around the world, and when you put the data gathered from all these points and map it out, it shows a sphere with a molten iron core. This isn't presupposing anything. This is letting empirical data lead you to a conclusion, not doing what Flat Earth does, starting with a conclusion and trying to make the data fit the narrative that you're pushing.
But scientific evidence of gravity?
No evidence.
So much. Cavendish, Schehelian, Pound-Rebec, the 1919 Edison experiment, the discovery of Neptune, the LIGO installations. Now, I know all of that is over your heads, and I'm going to let you just hang yourselves with your own stupidity.
No evidence for their gravity.
We don't have gravity.
There's evidence for what so.
You and your gravity are ruined.
Right.
Well, there was a guy on 24/7 this morning claiming the downward acceleration proves gravity.
But their gravity is saying it's not downward acceleration, it's Earth accelerating up.
Hold on, downward acceleration of what?
Of anything that falls to the ground?
Like a helium balloon.
That's the
Took the words out of my mouth.
The stupid burns. Every single person who paid attention in high school science knows why a helium balloon rises. Now, I do realise that that precludes any of you dipshits from knowing the answer, but it's actually pretty simple. Gravity acts on everything, including that helium balloon, but the air around has a greater mass than the helium balloon, which means that the force, because F equals ma, is greater on the air than it is on the helium balloon. This means that the buoyant force on the helium balloon is greater than the force acting in the opposite direction. And that means the balloon goes up. Now, I'm sure, Slappy, that you're going to listen to this and claim that I made some kind of fallacy, but facts are facts and you're still an idiot.
Any evidence you can have gas
We
pressure?
do have.
Go on, Neil. Was it Neil? No, Brian. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Nathan, thank you. We do have evidence of what causes weight. Plenty evidence of that.
Yeah, we do. This sounds like a job for Desertfile.
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Can volume exist without containment?
No.
And here we have the biggest flat earth straw man to ever exist, claiming that our model does something that it doesn't, then claiming that thing it doesn't do is impossible. The whole "you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum, therefore Earth's atmosphere can't exist" is a flat earth claim, not something that we would ever say.
I would love a demonstration if one can be found.
Right, fine, here we go. This is the inside of a tokamak nuclear fusion reactor. That band of blue you see is ionized gas pressure sitting right next to a vacuum of 10 to the negative 11 torr, with no physical barrier between the two. That doesn't mean that there isn't a barrier. In this case, the barrier is a combination of an extremely powerful magnetic field and an extremely high current. In the case of our atmosphere, the barrier is the downward acceleration that things have to overcome. The whole thing is stupid. Slappy the Clown, you're stupid. Go to the remedial classroom. Right, you bunch of morons, shut up. I can't believe I'm going over this again. What is it, Mr. Thompson? What do you mean your research has gone missing? What do you mean? Your group of independent researchers has disappeared? What are you talking about? They deleted your official Flat Earth and Globe discussion page from Facebook. Well, that's fucking hilarious. I'll have a drink later to celebrate. Show me gas pressure without a container is a straw man. No one ever said it could exist. Earth's atmosphere is held onto the planet by gravity. Gravity causes a downward acceleration, and that downward acceleration is a barrier that needs to be overcome for the atmosphere to disappear into the vacuum of space. But the thing is, space isn't a vacuum. It's just a really low pressure area, and it has a container. It's called the whole fucking universe. So no matter how many times you idiots cry gas pressure without a container, it's never going to do anything other than show why you fucking mental midgets are still in my remedial classroom. Now all of you, get the fuck out. It's time to celebrate. Where is the tequila?
Derp, derpity, derp, 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 derp.
Nathan, question. You ready? How do you convert meters into kilometers?
I don't know. How do you convert meters into kilometers?
What's the correct way?
You tell me.
The correct way is divide meters by 1,000. You didn't do that.
So if you have a meter and I divide that meter by 1,000, you don't think that would give you millimeters?
Meters into kilometers, Nathan.
You just said you divide meters by 1,000 to get kilometers. So you're saying I divide something that is 1 meter long by 1,000, and that will come out to a kilometer value.
Nathan,
it sounds like you are quite
track.
literally retarded with that statement.
It's no wonder this guy is so stupid. Remember, he did this.
So you don't need the toilet anymore. Why? Because your body has reabsorbed all of what was contained in your bladder that you would consider waste. Well, it's not waste, or your body would. There's no way it would reabsorb it.
First sample, transparency, subpar. Oh.
Oh, that's just piss. That's just straight up piss.
Sorry, that was the wrong footage. This was the clip that I meant.
It immediately was a eureka moment. I mean, I literally went and woke my wife up and told her that the Earth was flat.
I mean, that might actually be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard. You woke your wife up whilst she was sleeping. Do you have a fucking death wish? You know, I'm not afraid to do experiments, so let me try this with my wife, actually. She went for a nap just before I started recording this video. Emma. Hey, Emma. Wake up. Yeah, Emma, hey, guess what, right? The Earth is flat. Well, that was a fucking bad idea. For fun, I decided to drop in on one of Nathan's Flat Earth debates whilst I was doing a 40-hour stream to celebrate 40,000 subscribers. I'll let Brainy Beaver tell you how that went.
So are we really watching a Nathan Oakley stream?
Yeah, we are. Mr. FTFE asked us if we wanted to, and I said yes.
You did this without me?
Yeah, I did. You're busy with that family of yours, and somebody's got to run this goddamn boat.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure how happy I am to be watching an FTFE versus Oakley stream, because Oakley is a piece of absolute... You know what? I'm just going to end that there. But the bottom line is, I'm not exactly thrilled about this, okay?
Shh, it's starting. That's my second cousin, no lies. He thinks he's such a big shot now. Beaver House. That ain't no Beaver House. I'll tell you, one time I was in Nevada and you want to talk Beaver House? Quiet. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, so what do you do?
I'm so excited.
These people are so thick.
Be prepared for the gas pressure argument. He's going to pull up the Cavendish, and we already know the answers.
Spurs, please. We had the argument. We had the answers. They don't. End the story.
And you're going to go, what is the container? You're going to say, yes, but between the gas
enough.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host,
You know,
Nathan
someone
Oakley,
told me
and
that
if you
Mr.
are new to
Oakley
this
likes
channel,
balls.
or you've not done
I
so
wonder
already,
where
then
they
be sure
got
to
that.
subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley.
Well, I'm
1980
already
channel
bored of
member
this.
And keep up to
Don't we
date
have
with
timestamps? Like,
debates.
we can
If you'd like to
fast
support
forward
the channel,
through this,
there is
right?
a super chat.
Yeah, I do. Okay, hold on, one
Shows
second.
while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon.
I'd say that being able to consistently measure and test the measurements it's very good scientific evidence that the Earth has a curve.
I've just said it's not scientific evidence. It's not establishing.
I mean, you can say that.
Do you mind not interrupting me? I didn't interrupt you. Can you shut your mouth?
No.
Yeah, I'm talking. I'm responding. That means you shut up.
I know you are.
Yeah, don't talk through me then. Very politely. This isn't going to last long, Craig. If when I respond, you immediately start talking through me like you're doing now. So I didn't interrupt you.
If you talk to me like that,
can you shut up?
No worries. No, I won't shut up.
Do I have to gag you, you pathetic twat?
You can.
Right, I will if you don't shut up. I will if you don't shut up and let me respond.
Sounds like he's already angry. And FTFE's just milking his anger like some sort of satanic cow or something.
Satanic cow milk. Probably go great in an espresso.
Well, then shut up.
No, not at all.
Well, you seem scared. You don't seem to be allowing me to respond, Craig. It's assumed a tangent to a curved surface. That's a logical fallacy. Not proof of Earth curve, you moron.
Brommy, not now, Brommy. We're later.
Nathan's sworn at me 3 times, so I'm going to respond in kind.
No, you can suck my balls. You haven't proved Earth curve. You've just begged the question of a tangent to a curved surface. That's moronic. All you've done is beg the question. It's pathetic.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody told me something about Nathan wanting FTFE to suck his balls. He said, this is what I was talking about.
You moron.
Measuring, Nathan.
You're measuring an assumed curved surface.
And, right, okay, if you assume...
Okay, is that a concession, fatty? Okay, not okay. A logical fallacy, you stupid idiot. How many times have I got to tell you?
Can you imagine always being that angry? The man must have 1 million hemorrhoids. Every time his veins pop out on his head, so does one on his ass. It's like a minefield down there.
You can do. You're begging the question, mate. You're using logical fallacy, mate. Not sound logic, fallacious logic, flawed logic. Not good logic, crappy logic, stupid logic, moron logic. Logic that you don't want to accept. Logic that you want to tell me that you already know the outcome.
Doesn't have any balls because you swallowed them.
Wow. Everybody over here is into men's genitalia and mouths.
That explains the anger. Poor guy must be all pent up. His wiener's like a Picasso. Odd to look at, and no one's touching it.
So I think that's a bit of a problem. So the Earth is spinning. You should start like that. The Earth is spinning, and here is the evidence.
He hasn't shut up for a single word of what Spurs said. Didn't shut up for you, Spurs. Just talked constantly, like he's doing now. He's very angry.
I'll mute it in a second and listen to.
He has no intention of shutting up. He's an idiot.
He won't. He's just lost badly. So he's going to talk constantly through everything everybody says.
He's been destroyed. Absolutely destroyed.
Just one more question for you, Craig. Just one more question for you, if you can tolerate it. How do my balls taste? You know, yeah, I know you know, because I've teabagged you, mate. Yeah, question, then obfuscate the rebuttal.
Oh, there they go.
Yeah, I tried to tell him when they came in. It wasn't a family movie, but they didn't listen.
Globe that comes here, I might add.
Is he there? Oh, Nathan, sorry, I was on another call there, my bad.
What, getting help? So pathetic that you need other people to help you out when you're using fallacy to beg the question that the Earth's turning, or that you've got a curved Earth to draw a tangent to. You need help with that, do you?
No, I was just having a laugh about you, actually. It was quite...
Oh, right, it's very funny. Well, why don't you actually try and address some of the rebuttals, i.e. the fact that you've used logical fallacy called begging the question, assuming the outcome. When you say, if Earth's turning, that's assuming the thing you're trying to prove.
Right, Nathan.
You don't need to apologise. You're a moron. I expect it. Don't apologise to me.
Nathan, can you be quiet for 10 seconds?
No, you can suck my balls, though, while I teabag you, because you're begging the question every time you try and claim you're proving Earth spinning by saying, if Earth's spinning, oh, well, wouldn't that be the thing you're trying to prove? That would be
you never know. He is British, Nathan Oakley. He might think teabagging is something else, you know? Gonna just steep some nice Earl Grey for you.
Well, you think he just like warms up the tea bags and then pulls them out and like drapes them on your neck or something like that? Like, have some nice Earl Grey tea. I have teabagged you, sir.
That's what you're using, Craig.
Jolly good show.
Pointing that out to my audience.
Nathan, out of interest,
like
how many are watching you right now?
Either way, this is getting awfully homoerotic.
Well, look at your YouTube.
Oh my God, there's a cucumber over there.
You've been teabagged because you've asserted Earth is
Ever since 50 Shades, you know?
By way of assuming you've got a tangent to a curved surface, that's begging the question, and stating if Earth is spinning, the premise you're about to try and prove, with a fallacious use of logic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, terrible. You've done very poorly, Craig. In fact, you've been annihilated. That's what's actually happened here. You've been taken to pieces systematically by a flat earther.
Next question.
Go ahead, 10th.
Shall we? Yeah, let's go to the next question here.
I haven't answered that question yet.
Craig,
yeah, you use fallacious logic.
Audience size, it means you don't have a rebuttal. We're going to
I mean, is there any chance I could answer the question? Because I was asked the question and I never got a chance to answer it.
We're moving on, Craig. You use fallacious logic. I know that in your mind you've denied every single time I've tried to rebut it and talk through it, but that doesn't mean that you weren't rebutted, refuted, and then I stuck my balls in your mouth afterwards. And then we all had a good laugh at you while you were telling us that you were on a phone call. Unbelievably pathetic, but that's what actually happened.
Oh my God! There goes a donkey! What on earth would they need a donkey in here for?
Yo time! Ladies and gentlemen, and you liars, straight from the debauchery capital of the world. You want to make snow? Oh God. Oh yeah, yes. Get ready for some hardcore bestiality.
Interspecies erotica, fuck off.
Interspecies erotica at its finest. Big from PJ, I give you Pinky Kelly and the sexist.
Hey, do you guys mind closing the door back there?
Maybe.
reiterating it and
Hey,
summarizing
you gotta
it.
admit, like they're probably having a better time watching Kinky Keller than we are, but I am starting to wonder if we're in the wrong theater. I mean, just to be honest.
I haven't even answered the question.
I know you used a tool that demolishes your argument. Of course, I forgot. I didn't recognise. My balls are in his mouth. So it's obviously me not answering a question followed by an ad hom, right, Craig?
I don't think you know what an ad hom is either.
Yeah, it's when you don't address the argument.
Hey guys, you're not on the ball. Insane.
I thought they got rid of that guy. What is... he's so annoying.
Poor guy. He's just misunderstood. You know, they gave him a job here. They asked him to clean the toilets, but they found him in the back drinking the chlorine. Something about MMS. Anyways, they took that away from him.
I mean, there was like, you kind of like to dip your balls too much into men. That's disturbing, but...
Oh well.
I don't think
you
mean,
know.
it was a shit show on both sides.
Cause I hate what you do, and I hate your crew. So please don't stay in touch. Fuck you very, very much.
All right, that's going to be it for me today. I want to thank FTFE for having me and you guys for putting up with me. Have a good night, everybody, and see you later.
Thank you, Brainy Beaver. You guys can find the link to his channel in the description below. That is all the stupid that I can take for today. There was a lot of stupid that I didn't cover from that video because, you know, well, Nathan Oakley's in it. So if you would like to see a part 2, let me know in the comments. Now, just before I go, I want to say a massive thanks to all my patrons and channel members. I could not keep doing what I love to do without your support. You guys are amazing and I can't thank you enough. If you want to help support this channel, you can become a member by hitting the join button next to the subscribe button or becoming a patron over at patreon.com/FTFE. Top level supporters can contact me for some free merch, and thank you. Thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you're not already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss anything from FTFE. The best way to help my channel grow is to share it on social media and with your friends. See you next time, and remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat, 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 fight the flat.